Hi, my name is Jennifer Solomon, and I wanted to talk to you today about arthritis. Today is World Arthritis Day, and I wrote a post this morning concerning my testimony about arthritis. When I was 17 years old, I was running for a bus, and I got to the bus and I slipped and I fell, and it was a hard fall. My legs came up in the air, and I was like laying in the air, felt like it, and I fell straight down on my back and my spine. And someone had to walk me home, a stranger. I didn't even know who he was. And a couple of days later, I got really sick. I couldn't open my mouth to eat. I was just in so much pain all over my body. 2 weeks later was my graduation from high school. I was in a wheelchair. My sister had to wheel me on the stage, and but still, it was a beautiful day because it was at the Academy of Music, and I had fellow classmates to walk me around, take me out the wheelchair and walk me around to get my diploma. And when I got my diploma, the entire Academy of Music stood up and clapped for me, and people were emotional. My classmates were clapping for me. So despite of the disappointment, I still had some joy in that day. And from then on, it took about a year for them to diagnose me with what was wrong with me. I was diagnosed with two things: with ulcerative colitis and ankylosing spondylitis, which is arthritis in the spine. And the ulcerative colitis were ulcers and holes in my large intestine. So I lost so much weight. I went from, I don't know, 120 something, 130 something pounds down to like 80 something, 90 something pounds with a little over a month. And I was very weak. And I thank God that um, I was restored after they found out what was wrong with me. They gave me medications that built me up, and I was able to eat again. It took some months for my mouth to open again. It's like 6 months before I can open my mouth completely. My sister told me today about a story. My sister Tanya, how I was at home and I was just so hungry. She said she asked me what's wrong because I was crying so much, and I told her that I was so hungry. So she went downstairs and she heated up the spaghetti and mashed it up, and we tried to pry the spaghetti inside of my mouth. So I was trying to go to college, and I couldn't go to college because every time I tried to go to school, I kept getting sick. Um, I tried many jobs. The Lord gave me favor. I got out of high school. I had 3 interviews, and I got a job with the city as overseeing the district attorney office, their checks and their hours, and I had to oversee that. But when I went on my 3rd interview, they told me I was hired. But when they see my father, I was so sick at that time. My father had to carry me in the office because I couldn't walk. And so, what do you think? They changed their mind. I had a job at LaSalle University. I worked hard there, but I got sick once again. I had a job with the Environmental Protection Agency, working for the regional director, the top man, and I had to leave once again because I got sick. And God gave me favor with him. He kept having what is the Human Relations Services call me to ask me to come back, but I was just too sick to come back. And all this is before the age of 24. I was just so disappointed and hurt. Like, what can I do with my life now? I mean, how can I work, you know? So I had to apply for disability. And when I applied for disability, they denied me twice. I had to go to court. And when I went to the court, there was a seasoned judge. He was like looked like he's in the late 70s or 80s. I was surprised that he was still working. But he told me, which surprised me, that he's never had anybody in his court before my age that was able to get on disability. Then you have SSI, and then you have Social Security disability, and that's for those who've been working for years. But I worked so hard. This is how God is so faithful. He allowed me to work 2 jobs in high school. I worked 80 hours a week at LaSalle. You know, I did all those hours and worked all those different jobs so that when I came to apply for disability, I was able to be on disability and had an income coming in. So even with that, I lived on my own. I moved out my parents' house. My parents was there almost every day, or at least several times a week. So they always overseen and make sure that I was okay, especially my father. And at that time, my dad used to have to care when I was sick, and at times when I was really sick, trying to go to work, my dad would physically have to carry me in his arms. My mother said today, he carried you as a baby and he carried you as an adult. And he would take me in and out of places that I had to go. And I recently lost them, but that's a good memory to remember how my dad took care of me in the sickness. And he also went to church early in the morning every day to pray for my healing. So I, at that point, life was discouraging, and I thought that there was, like, how can I go on? But later on, the doors were open for me to be the director of Deliverance Evangelistic Church Social Services. And I didn't know anything about social services. I didn't even know what the word meant, because I had my parents and they always were there for me. And I didn't see that and recognize the need. They probably had situations, but we as the children didn't see it. So I was obedient to follow through with social service department. I sat in the office crying every day, Lord, what do I do? And the Lord showed me how to do things and how to organize. So when I left the social service department, I have organized, I started over 100 programs. And that was the favor of God. When I was a little girl, I always wanted to be in business, have my own office. And I thought at the age of 21, 22, 17, I thought that was over. I couldn't have all of that. But because I served the Lord and I trust the Lord, God gave me favor, and I began to have meetings with great leaders like governors and the mayors and senators, and pharmaceutical companies, their CEOs. The Lord put me in a place with so much favor, and I was able to help a lot of people with just the wisdom of God. And God showed me in the gift of administration how to bring people together. I learned that even when I wasn't educated in a certain area, when I wasn't a professional, I called in the professionals, and we were able to have health fairs and things for seniors. I started a senior program. So I just thank God that in the midst of that, when I felt hopeless, God showed me, no, it's not hopeless. I have a plan for you. And one of the experiences that I had, that I encouraged my brothers and sisters in the Lord, that when I became sick, I was attacked saying that it was something that I've done, and that it had to be something in order for you to be sick. But at 17, I loved the Lord. I served the Lord. I read the word. I couldn't wait to get home to pray and talk to the Lord. And it wasn't that. When I look at Job and how Job's few friends accused him of something that he's done, but God said that Job was an upright man. And I believe that he made sure that we knew that he was upright, so that when he was accused, we know that it wasn't nothing that Job did. So also I think about the blind man in the book of John, who was blind from birth. And the disciples asked Jesus, well, who sinned? Was it him or his parents? And Jesus said, neither. It was for the Lord to be glorified. And that's how I see in my life. It wasn't a sin that I've done. It wasn't a sin that my parents done. But the Lord, Jesus, to be glorified through the pain and the agony. Because I had many of days being in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Can't move my body. But didn't complain. But I cried out to the Lord. I cried out to the Lord, and He's been faithful. He's been faithful. I just hold on. That's what I encourage people. So when you see somebody sick and going through in a household of faith, pray with them. Join them with their faith. That doesn't mean that they don't believe God. Paul, he had a thorn in his flesh. He prayed not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that thing wasn't removed. But God's grace, and God said that his grace is sufficient for him. That God, through his weakness, God is showing his strength. So through my physical weakness, God's strength is showing through me. So when I do worship and I'm jumping and bouncing all over the place, that's God's strength showing through me. When I'm being a mother, because God blessed me to be a wife and gave me a loving husband, James Solomon, who I knew was my husband when I vomited all over the place and was so sick, and he got on his knees and cleaned up all my vomit. I said, I better marry this man. And God gave me two wonderful children. And because his grace is sufficient, because God was there with me and is still with me. I thank God for the doctors and the medication, because I'm one that believe there's medication that I did not want to take. I had to pray over it, and I had to trust God. You still have to trust God with that, because there's so many side effects. There's a medication I take now that weakens your immune system. That's why I don't play with COVID. I don't play with being around people with no mask on, because I have to protect myself, what God has given me. So I tell you to wear a mask, and I wear a mask. Because this medication weakens my immune system, and the side effects also, it can give you infections. It can give you pneumonia. It can give you just different things that I have to keep myself as healthy as I can. But through all of that, I'm not in the pain that I used to be in. I'm not in the agony that I used to be in. But I trust God before even taking the medication. Even every time I take it, I have to pray and believe God that this is going to work out for my good. So I encourage you guys that are going through ankylosing spondylitis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. It did not stop me. It was a diagnosis. It was something that I had to pray, and I still had to believe God for complete wholeness. But it doesn't stop your life. If you've been diagnosed with anything, if you're going through different situations in your life, don't stop trusting in God. God's thoughts toward you are thoughts of peace and not of evil. There is an expected end for you. There is purpose for you. There is plan for you. I've been talking about the word that God gave me this week was assignment. There's an assignment for you. Don't give up. Don't give up. Let the Lord show his strength through you. He wants to show his strength through you today. Show how faithful he is through you today. So I give God all the glory. I give God for the favor, for everything he's done in my life. And I pray that this testimony will be a blessing to you. Give you the strength to keep on going on, because God's grace is sufficient for you. So you hold on. You be encouraged. And once again, today is World Arthritis Day. And this is my testimony. Why am I bent over? Because it's arthritis in the spine. But guess what? It doesn't hold me back because of Jesus. God bless you. And I hope you enjoy this testimony.